Welcome back to Strawberry Ink. Today, we're stepping out of the modern courtrooms and heading deep into an American frontier. A place of dust, danger, and a legend who became larger than life. His name was Henry McCarty, but the world remembers him as Billy the Kid. Billy was a 19th century American outlaw whose short, violent life became one of the most mythologized stories in the Old West. Born Henry McCarty and later known as William Bonney, he moved through New Mexico during the Lincoln County War, a conflict that had ranchers, businessmen, and hired gunmen shooting it out on the streets. Billy became known for cattle rustling, jailbreaks, and gunfights, though he's often portrayed as a cold-blooded killer. His victims were almost lawmen, rival gunmen, or enemies caught up in this conflict. His notoriety exploded in April 1881 when he escaped from jail, killing two deputies in the process. That escape set Sheriff Pat Garrett on a relentless manhunt. Garrett eventually tracked Billy to Pete Maxwell's ranch in Fort Sumner, and in a dark room on July 14th, 1881, Billy the Kid's life ended with a single gunshot. But before that final moment, Billy the Kid lived a criminal life defined by bold arrests and even bolder escapes. His very first arrest happened in 1875 when he was caught stealing clothes from a Chinese laundry center in New Mexico. The jail barely had proper security, and Billy proved it by climbing up a chimney and slipping away into the night. In 1877, he was arrested again in the Arizona Territory for horse theft after a ranch dispute. Once again, he escaped before he could ever be tried. Later, during 1878, this year's Lincoln County War, Billy was detained a few times, but the conflict was so politically chaotic that no true court process ever struck. His final arrest came in December 1880, when Sheriff Pat Garrett cornered him and his gang at Stinking Springs. This time, Billy was captured for good, at least for the moment. He was charged with murdering Sheriff William Brady during the Lincoln County War, and the territory was determined to make an example out of him. Billy the Kid had surprisingly a few formal court appearances despite his infamous reputation. His first real trial began after his capture in 1880, when he was taken before Judge Warren Bristol in Mesilla, New Mexico. In April 1881, Billy was found guilty of killing Sheriff Brady, the only person from the entire Lincoln County War ever formally convicted. Judge Bristol sentenced him to hang on May 13th, 1881, and ordered that the execution take place in Lincoln. But Billy was not finished. Before the sentence could be carried out, he made his most legendary escape. From his cell inside the Lincoln County Courthouse jail, he overpowered and killed deputies James Bell and Bob Ollinger, then stole a horse and rode out of town. It humiliated the territory and pushed Pat Garrett to hunt him with renewed determination. Billy never made it back to court. Throughout his life, Billy the Kid was held in a number of frontier facilities. Nothing like the jails we know today. He spent time in holding cells in Silver City, Santa Fe, Mesilla, and eventually the Lincoln County Courthouse cell block, which became the most famous location tied to him. These facilities were small, poorly secured, and designed more for territory detention than long-term confinement. As for the people Billy killed, historians generally credit him with anywhere between 4 and 8 victims, though the exact number will always be debated. Many of the killings happened during shootouts tied to the Lincoln County War, a place where choosing the wrong side could cost you the rest of your life. Billie's story ended at Fort Sumner, New Mexico, inside Pete Maxwell's ranch, when Sheriff Garrett shot him on July 14, 1881. At that time, there were no coroner's offices and no medical examiners in the New Mexico Territory. Instead, a local justice of peace and community witness conducted the inquest, a typical frontier practice, not only one witness but many. Likewise, the men Billie killed were examined by local officials or townspeople and then buried in nearby cemeteries. Rural New Mexico simply did not have functioning hospitals for such cases. During Billie's trial, brief as it was, he was represented by defense attorneys Albert Jennings Fountain and John Bale. The prosecution was led by Simon Bolivar Newcomb, who represented the territory. It was a short legal showdown, so politically infiltrated. No private attorneys or public defender, just lawyers working for different government institutions, ending in the only conviction that would ever formally attach to Billie's name. Billie the Kid's life lasted just for 21 years, but his legend has lived for more than 140 years. He was not the unstoppable gunslinger Hollywood later crafted, but he was clever, fast, charismatic, and unforgettable. He was a young man shaped by a violent frontier and ultimately consumed by it. This has been Strawberry Ink. Thank you for listening, and remember, these stories may seem cool in movies, but in real life, they are extremely gruesome and disturbing. Take care and have a good rest of your day. May everyone involved rest in peace.